thank you so much for having me here today. I've got really a lot of respect for the work of this organisation. I haven't yet been to Calais myself. I am planning on going in November though. I have been to Greece though over the summer, and I've seen some of the camps, I guess, that have sprung up in central Athens on the islands, and it really drives home to me every time I see an image of Calais. I get an image of, you know, the square in Athens in my mind, and this is happening all over Europe. I mean, also Wolf mentioned in Eastern Europe, people being held back at borders, people sleeping on the side of the road, little kids sleeping on the side of the road, photos of kids covered in mud, living in the cold and the rain. It's getting colder, and let's not hide this from ourselves. Heated tents or no heated tents. Families will die and freeze. More and more people will die if they are trapped outside in the cold with nowhere to go and no welcome this winter, all over Europe. And our government refuses to see this. They refuse to see this. Absolutely shut their eyes to it. And this is really what I want to talk about a little bit, is these divisions. And I think it's come up in both of the previous talks, because it's really a theme that I'm seeing like growing and growing. And let's be clear, Wolf mentioned this, Natalie mentioned this. These numbers are not unmanageable numbers for Europe, right? We've seen about, I mean, it's not helpful that, you know, Frontex double counts people at the borders. It's not helping, but we've seen about 600,000 maybe people reach Europe this year. It's higher than in previous years. This would have been a challenge, but we've made it into a crisis. We've completely failed as Europeans to respond adequately to this. And in the UK, as the end of the line, at the very end of everything, washing our hands of the situation in neighbouring countries is absolutely, absolutely disgraceful. As Natalie said, 6,000 people. If we could take in maybe 4,000 of them, maybe just take them all. 6,000 people is not unmanageable. It's not a crisis, and it's not an invasion. Right? Let's keep some perspective here. We had 25,000 applications for asylum in the UK last year. 25,000. It's just not a scary number. It's not, and they make up 5% of immigration last year. Refugees and asylum seekers made up 5% of immigration to this country. Did they make up 5% of the news coverage you've seen lately about immigration? I don't think so. And that's what they're trying to do, to scare people, to say not them, you know, that we need to protect ourselves. There's too many of them. There are not too many of them. We can manage perfectly well. Across Europe, over the past 25 years longer, we've been pursuing this same strategy. These building up our borders, agreements with third countries, with countries in Africa, countries along the Middle East, North African bordering states to the EU. We've been making agreements. We've been paying huge, huge amounts of money to corrupt regimes with horrific human rights records. And we've been funding the building of detention centers, the training of border guards to stop people before they can reach us. And we've been pursuing this for decades. This is not new. The announcement of the deal with Turkey, that deal was signed in 2013 after decades of negotiation of trying to force Turkey to agree to this. Now, what's new is we're giving them some more money, and they'll build a couple more horrendous detention centers. But this is an ongoing policy, and we can see it has manifestly failed. Right? It doesn't work. People who have nothing to lose anymore, people who have nothing to go back to anymore, will still move forward. It's happened throughout history. It's the human thing to do. People move from where they cannot live to where they can live and where they can survive and where they can build decent lives. What we've always taken for granted, those things, people will always move towards them. And every razor wire fence we put up, and every canister of tear gas we throw into a child's face, and every hotspot and new camp and safe zone we try to pen these people in, it doesn't work. They will come. They will come, and we will kill them more and more if we do not accept and start to manage it instead of trying to fight reality. Because this is the thing, we're the realists. We're not the idealists in this room. We you know, seem like it to those on the outside, oh, bleeding hearts, and we just care about the people, and we're not thinking about the consequences. No, we're the realists. This is what's happening. You can't say we're taking 20,000 people from the camps, and so those people who are in Europe, well, they shouldn't be there, so we won't deal with it. They shouldn't have come. The kids who are freezing in the rain right now on the side of roads across Europe, they shouldn't be there. And so we will do nothing, and we cannot accept that. It's not good enough, it's not realistic, and in the long term, it costs so many lives. So, what do we need to do? We need to see this issue more in the round. We need to link up. We need to unite, and we need to fight these divisions. We used to have good migrant, bad migrant. You know, a migrant who comes and is the brightest and the best and makes an economic contribution, and we choose them. Bad migrant, somebody who comes who needs our help. Then we had, you know, the refugees and the economic migrants. This idea that, you know, anyone from Syria, maybe, yes, of course, but let's not forget that there are some Africans within those groups, and therefore let's just close the border because, you know, some of them may not fit into our narrow definition of refugee. And now we've got good refugees and bad refugees. Divisions, always divisions. Now we have, I'll go back to Theresa May's speech. It was very interesting. Theresa May made a speech about how some refugees deserve our help and some of them just shouldn't be here. And she was introduced by Baroness Hellick. Baroness Hellick, who is herself a refugee from the war in Bosnia. It's very interesting that Theresa May made this speech saying, you know, there's a big difference between someone who goes to a camp in Lebanon and someone who came here on a student visa and then applies for asylum when their country becomes unsafe. Baroness Hellick was here on a student visa when the war in Bosnia became so bad that she had to apply for asylum to stay. That these divisions are completely false. It's not wrong to say that some of the motivations pushing refugees are economic. Yes, that's true. You're out of immediate danger to a certain extent if you're in a camp. And then what, you become an economic migrant just because you move again towards a life where you can actually live? To me, these distinctions, they don't help anybody. And I think we've seen that proven because we've gone from the economic migrant and the refugee to the good refugee and the bad refugee, and they will continue to divide us. And it's not just there that they're dividing us. Wolf brought up the immigration bill and how we're making ordinary citizens into border guards. We are sowing division in our own country as well. We are attacking asylum seekers who are already living off so little. In the summer, we cut asylum support rates, not just for people who've been refused, but for the families, for the children of asylum seekers who are waiting in this endless and brutal system to hear about their claim. We cut the amount of support that we give to children in those circumstances. And those are the people that we need to unite with. We need to be working alongside asylum seekers, refugees in this country, and we need to be able to strengthen those community groups. And we're being attacked because they want to divide us. And they want to divide us from the others in Europe who are also working on these issues. And I think it's such an important time that we're seeing the far right make gains all across Europe. Marine Le Pen is going to run in Pas-de-Calais, in the Calais area, and she's likely to win. This is no joke, because this is serious fascist party, the National Front in France. And we're seeing this growing. We're seeing in Germany arson attacks on refugee accommodation. This is happening all over Europe, and we need to have a united front of people who don't believe in the direction that we've been heading in for so long across Europe, across the country. We need to also think bigger than just London. I think Right to Remain, Michael's here, they have a brilliant network of people right across the country. I think that's a really good model. Support people who are up in Birmingham, people in Scotland doing loads on this as well. And so we need to fight these divisions. We need to always stand against people who would say that this person's deserving and this person's not, and this person's claim is rejected, so let's force them onto the streets, let's force them out. It's not right, and it's not, in the end it harms all of us. The immigration bill where we're going to have these, the Immigration Act, the last one, has brought in these right to rent checks. Max has done, the Movement Against Xenophobia, who I'm here speaking for, we've done an evaluation of their pilot scheme. And there's very little evidence to gather. We haven't had a lot of time, but what we have seen is that people with a foreign sounding name, people with a foreign accent, people who are not white, getting turned away from accommodation. They could be British citizens, or they could be migrants. And either way, they have the right, they should not be discriminated against in this way, but we are sowing these divisions. So we need to take a really united approach to this. But we are under attack, and we are not the ones in power, and we are always going to be on the back foot. But as long as we absolutely refuse to accept any of these divisions they put on us, then we can, I think that there is reason to be hopeful. And there are movements across Europe that we can join up with, and we should be joining up with more people in Calais, and we should be joining up with more people in Greece and in Hungary, in Hungarian communities here in the UK. We can unite and show that Europe is better than this, the UK is better than this. Okay, I'm going to finish up then. Don't want to take too much more time, but there's loads of stuff going on right now. I'm sure, well, you guys are here, so you know about these things. I mean, I think at 6 this evening, there's a demo at St Pancras. I can't make it, but if you can, do go along. I think there's another demo outside Downing Street on Wednesday. Obviously there's the Yulswood demo. That one's going to be really big, I think, so that's really great. We've got to keep building the pressure. But there's so many things to get involved in right now, and it's the time to like link up and not be factionless and not try to own an issue. Just join with other people, see what they're doing and support them, and try to bring in new people, because there are so many people. There's actually, my last point is that we get calls all the time at my work. I work for a charity called Asylum Aid. We give legal representation to asylum seekers, and I've had so many calls of people being like, how can I help? What can I do? I want to take in someone to my home. I want to, I want to give clothes. And I'm trying to explain to them, we haven't seen this crisis here. Even back to the numbers, the UK just doesn't have enough people coming in for the British people who want to help. We've seen the Germans and the Austrians receiving people in the train station, playing with the kids, giving over a blanket, doing these things. And we want to do the same. The British people want to do the same. We don't want to be divided. We want to stand together. And we're not given that opportunity. So I think, to come back to what was said in the introduction, let's remember this is a political issue. And whenever people say to me, well, what can I do? Can I take someone into my home? Can I give you a winter coat? I say, write to your MP, come on a demonstration, raise your voice, because we need to bring the people here before you can help them. So let's keep doing that.